At 8:32, as restrictions begin to lift and businesses around the country are reopening, many are looking for more ways to resume some daily activities and as safely as possible. On Friday, the CDC revealed some long-awaited guidelines to reduce your daily risk of COVID-19 just before the official start of summer. And joining us once again to break it all down is our friend, Dr. Jen Caudle. So great to see you on this Monday morning.
Good to see you too.
And Dr. Jen, I wanted to begin with that. We know more places are reopening, but we also reported this morning nearly half of the country is reporting a rise in COVID cases. And with the CDC releasing these new guidelines, they still remain pretty general in a sense, right?
Right. That's right. So one thing to keep in mind is that, the CDC nor can really anyone tell you what's right for you. There's no right or wrong answer. What it's about these days is looking at overall risk level to determine if it's okay for you to do certain things. So I just want to mention a few strategies and a few things to keep in mind when looking at any activity or anything that you're considering doing, because as you're right, many states are at different levels and some states are increasing with COVID cases. So the first thing you need to think about overall is what's happening in your community and what your state and local guidelines are. That's going to determine a lot about what you're even able to do in the first place. And then you want to take a look at your overall risk level. Are you high risk, or is anyone in your family high risk? And then you want to think about how many people you'll be around with a particular activity, how close you'll be to them, and how long you'll be with them. Because the more people that you're around, the closer that you're with them, and the longer that you're with them, all of those things will and can increase the risk of coronavirus transmission. So that's the first thing that we want to think of right off the top.
So all great questions really to ask ourselves. So it does really begin with us. And the CDC, yes. I know by going to their website, they do list out a lot of those questions. It's almost like a checklist, before you go out.
Right.
So common sense suggestions, obviously, about getting out and doing things like going to the restaurants and maybe going to the bank and going to church. But what about people that are like, is it okay for me to go date again or to get intimate again with somebody else?
Right. Well, so when we talk about dating and romance and intimacy, that's a really important question. Intimacy is a part of our health, just like everything else. So it's very important. And the great thing is that I'm seeing actually cities and state governments actually releasing guidelines and recommendations about this. So, for example, DC has guidelines. New York City has guidelines. Many cities have them. So that's the first thing, is to check your local health department. But some suggestions, okay? When we talk about intimacy, three things to keep in mind that many guidelines say is that the safest partner to be intimate with is yourself. I will let you read between the lines. But then they also say that being intimate with someone in your household is the second safest. But when it comes to dating and being intimate with someone outside of your household, you need to take into consideration a number of risk factors, many things I just talked about, right? Your risk level. Have you been quarantining? The COVID status of your partner or the person that you're considering being intimate with. These may seem like personal questions and sort of like a very personal and touchy topic, but the truth about it is it's very important. As we start to re-enter society, people are really looking for ways and trying to understand how they need to go back to their daily lives and how they can do that safely. So understand there's a lot of great recommendations out there. And I always say, don't be squeamish about this stuff. It's really important to talk about.
And another one that I know that you get a lot, you get asked a lot is can I take my kids to see grandma and grandpa? When, we started this talk around Mother's Day, and still it's like every week the question's being asked.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think when you asked me around Mother's Day, you said, is it okay to see mom or grandma? And I was like, no, not at all. But now what I'm saying is actually different. We've had more time. And again, many states have had a decline in their cases, while, yes, some have had an increase. So what I say about visiting grandparents and grandparents seeing their grandkids, because I know my parents feel that way about my nieces, you've got to sort of weigh those things. Okay, risk level of each individual person. Where the grandchildren versus grandparents live. Do either party, do they live in a high-risk area? Have both parties been isolating during this time and really been taking social precautions and safety precautions? And then you think about the nature of the get-together. What are you planning to do? Because remember, outdoor activities are safer than being inside. Are you able to social distance and sort of stay 6 feet away? Are you able to sort of avoid the hugging and the kissing and the smooching and all that kind of stuff? All of those things you can really keep in mind. But, now that things are opening up, there are a lot more options, I think, for families, and that's a good thing.
Yes, definitely with our parks opening up in many parts of our region. Dr. Jen Caudle, thank you so much. And we know that if you want to connect with Dr. Jen and have more questions, you can always do that online as well. You're on Twitter, Facebook, you're on all the platforms.
Yes, I am. And thank you so much.
Thanks.